Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is LolaAjisafe here. We are reviewing Ready to Love, Potomac Reunion Part 1. Before we begin, housekeeping rules. Don't forget to like. And second of all, more importantly, please let me know what you guys think. If there was any episode or any set of episodes, this one or the next one, that required us to dialogue and exchange ideas, it would be these ones right here. So I really want to hear from you guys, what you think about what I said. I don't want to fight you, but we could just be respectful in the comments with each other. And last of all, if you want to get your sister to 2K, don't forget to subscribe. All right, let's get into it. So this is Potomac. This is the reunion part 1, episode 13. First of all, I'm going to say Nephew Tommy's back. And you'll be like, Lola, what do you mean by Nephew Tommy's back? Like, he'd been here, but what I mean is, like, the last reunion, he wasn't here. And I just felt like, you know, the children were running amok and they were just, like, all over the place. But today, he's back. And I felt comforted, like, okay, he's going to call people to their stuff. Because he's been doing it along the season. So if there's anything that happens, anything that wasn't, you know, addressed, he's going to address it before the end of part 1 and part 2. So that aside, I was happy with that information. Guess what? Who did we see in the audience, the cast, that we were surprised by? Tina was there in sparkles. Like, I was surprised because I figured, like, if she stood him up, she wasn't planning to show up, but I guess her contract required her to be there. So she was there in all her glory, full face, full outfit. Let's go. Let's see how this rolls. Immediately, Nephew Tommy jumped right into it. That, you know, I told you that, you know, I gave, you know, Tori his final moments. I'm like, you know, Tori, I'm sure you're not like completely douchebag. I'm sure you're not a douchebag, but like, you came across as that and you did 1, 2, 3. I said this on one of my other videos. But the thing that just kind of just sealed, that broke the camel's back for me, was his kidney comments. And so thankfully, Uncle Nephew Tommy said, bruh, like, what's up with the kidney comments? Like, what are we doing here? And this clown, this joker, he said something about, like, when give me a second, when a woman trembles, isn't it because he's hitting her kidneys? So this is what I'm thinking here. I think either he tried to crack a joke to get out of the stupidness of the statement, or bruh need to go back to anatomy and physiology class. Like, okay, well, for that level, for a high school level or college level, probably biology. So let's just say bio. Like, he needs to go back to bio, because I shudder to think that he really believes what he said, but he was just trying to. And Nephew Tommy let him go with that. I'm gonna go, you know, I'm just gonna assume that he just said that to try and crack a joke out of it. But like, that's where we're gonna leave that at. So they start playing the packets, and so they start showing, I think they started breaking down like the blind dates. And so there's a part where they show a packet where, you know, Eric was one of the blind dates because he was not one of the first 7. So he comes in, so they show him going on a blind date with, I think it was when they were showing him with Dakia, and Dakia looked visibly nauseous. And I'm thinking to myself that, yo, what really happened between these two? We're going to find out today, or they're going to Phil and Shiloh us. But next blind date they showed us was Laverne with Carmen, and Carmen was like, oh, you know, Laverne was a nice gentleman, it was a nice date. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, so Carmen, you're saying these nice things, but what happened? Because literally after that, you both seemed to be interested, but shortly after that, we didn't see you guys again. You guys didn't speak of each other. You know what, I think with each episode, with each season, more and more things are happening off camera. And so by the time they get on camera, we don't know what's going on. We're just like, and then of course the producers and the editors are just trying to piece things together to give us some continuity, but there is no continuation. It's like, because the thing is, they appeared to have a great date, but that was it, nothing else. Because they haven't said anything bad about each other. Well, not yet. not yet. Stay tuned. They go on to Tina. Tina, of course, was also a blind date, came in, she was not one of the first 7. And so they kind of asked her, I guess, in a roundabout way, you know, how did she think about the blind date? And she just said that she didn't have a problem with blind dates, and I guess she's trying to explain already off the top, like, what's going on. She said just off the top, off the riff, like, the whole thing she found exhausting and spiritually draining. Sis, I get you, because when I'm just seeing all this cat and mouse stuff that's been going on, like I think I've said with my friends and my people when we talk about this show, is that this medium is not for everyone. It's for a certain type of people. Some people shine in this medium, others not so much. Not because they don't have it, but it's just not for them. Some things work for some people, some things don't. This didn't really work. They even go on to ask, you know, like Dakia, like what she thought about, because she went on a blind date with Eric, I guess, the other end, and she said at the time, in quotes, at the time, Eric appeared to be a nice gentleman. I'm sure there's more to come with that. In the midst of all of this, if you guys noticed, right at the beginning, Demetrius seemed so disconnected. Like, we know that Demetrius is quiet, he doesn't say much, he doesn't, like, so I don't know if it's just Demetrius being Demetrius, or he's just like, I mean, it's probably a little bit of everything. He just looked over. So, I mean, I don't always... Just in the middle of it all, as they're just going through the blind dates, as they were talking about them, please, can we talk about like Laverne's outfit? Like, it looked like this is what came to my mind. It looked like, you know, Dennis the Menace, you know, in 2022. Like, you know, instead of his red and black striped shirt, he decided to so now Dennis the Menace is a grown man. He's gonna wear his sports jacket, but he's gonna keep the shorts. But this time the stripes would be on the shorts with matching socks. Like, I know Laverne's like, he's a different kind of guy, and he says that he's an acquired taste. I just thought it was different. I'm not even saying it was bad, but it was just different, and might I say a bit odd. But you know, if he likes it, I love it. I don't know, just that's what I was staring at the beginning, like, who is that guy in short? Wait, hold up, that's Laverne. I think another packet they started addressing was the truth or dare, because now they're gonna make truth or dare a part of every season, so they break it down, the truth or dare thing. And so of course one of the big questions they asked was, how did Demetrius feel being the object of Sabrina's fancy, you know? And then of course the peanut gallery had other things to say. So of course Demetrius is like, okay, he knows, and I guess you get more context and more insights as they fill in the blanks. So of course, you know, I don't remember seeing the part where I don't think they showed the part where Sabrina was saying like, oh, you know, I was trying to choose all that. I don't remember that. But also she gives us context in that, you know, she thought about it and decided to go for Demetrius because right prior to that, after she had a conversation with Demetrius wanted her to kind of, you know, meet her where he was. And so her way of meeting him there was, you know, that was just an opportunity, and she took the opportunity and went with it. And so he says he was surprised, but he wasn't surprised because he had asked her to. He knew she had a connection with, you know, Tori, but he had asked her to kind of step forward and show some interest as well. And of course, you know, everyone had something to say about how they were surprised. They thought it was Tori, but I mean, I know that I wasn't there. I wasn't in the deliberations. I wasn't on the show. I didn't see all the edits. I wasn't there for most of the filming. But it just appeared to me like, yes, she entertained Tori's attention, but was she really feeling? I don't feel like she was really feeling him, because there seemed to be a different type of energy, particularly first of all when Demetrius stepped to her, and even when Donovan stepped to her. By that time, she had found people who were more up her alley, and Tori was just someone whose attention she'd entertained initially, but once she had more options, she began to exercise her options. That's what it looked like to me. But of course, I'm looking at it from a bird's eye view. I wasn't in the mix of all the things. But anyway, in between that, when everybody's saying, oh, they were all surprised, Joy seemed really invested, and I noticed that there's some tension between Joy and Sabrina, and I can't figure out why, because in different episodes of different slots of time during this whole episode, there are periods where Joy just seemed very gun-ho, and you know, we know Joy can go get crunk when it came to things or with people. She was always seemed to be siding with people who were against, on the opposite side of Sabrina. It appeared. So I'm wondering what happened with this. Is the cast split? Like, I don't know. It just didn't make sense. Like, I thought, the girls are not really together. I don't know. It just didn't. I just noticed there was tension. I didn't understand why, because Joy seemed a little too invested in explaining that, oh, you went to Tori, and she's it just seemed to me like, Joy, you got your guy. In fact, you have the only real connection I recognize this season. Like, why are you invested in whether she was or she wasn't into Tori, it just seemed like, I don't know, you seem to be concerned with what was unimportant for you because you went on the show and did what you were meant to do on the show, so everything else should just be trivial to you, but you just seemed invested. Of course, they go on to Donovan and Carmen. Yeah, they're still together. That's all I have for you. I'm just thinking, like, Carmen, you were his third option. Like, I don't know where to go from there, but if you're lost, the whole point of this show is couples, not necessarily marriage, but committed couples. So if you guys keep going and you keep going strong, then good on you, because that's all what we want to see. We want to see successful stories. I don't have to like you or be batting for you, but if there's a successful story, I promise you we want to hear about it. So I wish you guys well. Next segment, which they tried to delve more into, was the Dakia and Eric segment. So the question now is, in the beginning it really seemed like Dakia and Eric really hit it off. And so all of a sudden, an episode or two later, we find out that she don't want to involve herself with him again. Of course, this time, Nephew Tommy's like, I want us to go into detail what really transpired. So of course she tells us again, taking a picture. She was teasing that it looked like a prom picture, and then he decided to up the ante. And from what I can gather, he touched her inappropriately. His hand went to one of two body parts. Or three. I can only imagine his hand went to one of three body parts. And she was immediately insulted. And she said she reacted immediately, said, what are you doing? I'm not that kind of woman. And at that point, Nephew Tommy had asked him, do you think you had misread signals? You felt too comfortable? He's like, no, I don't think I read misread signals. Because I just felt embarrassed because I did it in front of people. Because we had kissed. Okay, so this is what I'm going to say right now. Okay, so just because you kiss someone, it doesn't mean that just because I said you can come visit me where I live does not mean you can run up into my bedroom and start reading my diary and laying on my bed with your shoes on. The two are not connected. I invited you into my place, maybe to have a cup of coffee, maybe to watch something, to do something, and then all of a sudden you take extra liberties and run up into my bedroom and invade my privacy by reading my diary and laying on my bed, which is a private place for me. So that's the analogy I can come up with. So yes, you guys may have kissed, hugged, but what she didn't do was say, one, you can do that to me in private, and particularly two, publicly. So it seems like Eric seems sorry. Eric is apologizing just to fix the situation, but doesn't really appear sorry. I don't know how else to put it, because he's still saying just because they had kissed, like he don't think he misread signals, or maybe he's trying to save face, because he was getting a little rah for a second. Like, I'm like, bro, like, say that's sorry and keep it moving on. Even Nephew told me I'd say, like, let's cut it, like, you so you're boom, like this one of like trying to find, like, because I guess what Nephew Tommy initially was trying to do was just trying to appease and cool the situation, just trying, and maybe he was because I do feel like Nephew Tommy sometimes does try to bat for the guys. He was trying to appease the situation and maybe put an explanation. So he was literally trying to feed Eric lines, but Eric wasn't taking those lines, because he was feeding Eric lines that Eric was meant to say, yeah, I misread the situation, I got a little too comfortable, I thought we're further than we were, but he's like saying no. So yeah, that's what I think Nephew Tommy was doing. So when Nephew Tommy saw the album working, he's like, okay, cut. Like, okay, you said sorry, you said sorry, okay, all right, let's keep this moving before it went to another. So I mean, they had a little back and forth about him trying to discredit a character, or trying to talk about, I'm not sure really what transpired, but what I'm thinking at the back of my mind is, when this transpired, when it happened, was homegirl, was Blue Eyes there, or did Eric, because he's had a prior relationship with Blue Eyes, did he talk to Blue Eyes about the whole thing? And as this has not been the genesis of why Blue Eyes doesn't like Dakia, but probably added to it because he probably said some things, and of course Carmen's not a girl's girl, so she coming for, you know, she coming for Dakia anyway, so that just added to it. So is that what, you know, Dakia could have been talking about? But you know, there's one part like right at the end of this segment, you know, Joy hugged on Eric. I don't know. I know Joy was really buddy with a lot of the guys, but I don't know if that was the right time. Like, I guess there's a lot we don't understand. Is Joy sympathizing more with Eric than she is with Dakia? I don't know. That says something to me, and that's what I'm getting. I'm getting that Joy sympathizing more with Eric than she is with Dakia. Is she saying that Dakia is, you know, what's she saying? Like she's not rolling with her sisters. The Me Too movement, like she's not with it. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like a public display of support for Eric over Dakia. But I mean, understandably so, they probably do have some bad blood, because at the time Dakia was a secondary interest of Cliff. So they go into the segment about Sabrina. Now we know Sabrina had the most connections and ended up with 0 at the end of the day. And so we're trying to break it down and explain what happened. So of course the conversation starts with her and Donovan. And I have said, you know, I'm not necessarily, Sabrina wasn't one of my favorites, but what I admired about how she was on the show during filming was that she wasn't bowed over or impressed by the fact that, you know, these guys were interested in her. Like, she wasn't just blown away, because typically a lot of women in the past, it's always shown, it's always looks like women are just literally just like, oh, he's interested in me, oh, I'm so grateful. She wasn't grateful. She was interested, but she wasn't grateful. She still seemed to be going about her business just like a guy would. Like, guys in the past, they've done this, you know, they'll have multiple connections and kind of keep their cards close to the chest, literally to the end. But anytime it's a woman doing that, she's expected to just be different. So with that expectation, so they get talking. So the conversation starts with her and Donovan, of course. You know, and I've said that, you know, I feel like Donovan has been acting like his feelings were hurt. That, you know, my big thing was what transpired in the getaway house when they were all doing okay, and all of a sudden they leave the getaway house and they're both, you know, she's not doing good with either one of her connections, and a little more context comes into play. So they get talking, you know, Donovan's already getting like, I don't trust her, she's doing this, and then so Sabrina has a comeback like, oh well, what about you, that you had said if you'd come earlier on that you would have been with Joy. Oh, who said that? So she said, so Sabrina said that it wasn't relevant, but I guess she's trying to, you know, support her position. But now she's like, okay, I'm going to come in guns blazing. So she's coming for anybody who come for her. So she's come back for Donovan with that retort. And then Donovan, it appears, said it because his response back was, not to say that it's like comparing apples and oranges, but just it re-emphasizes the way I've seen Donovan in the past. Like, he felt attacked, so he jumped back, and unfortunately for him, both Precious and Dakia supported and said, yeah, we heard you said that to me too. And all he could say to these ladies, instead of him to be either quiet or say I didn't say it, his first response was to I mean, his version of an insult, at least he didn't curse, so I'll give him that. I'll give you that, Donovan. You didn't use curse words. But your retort wasn't, oh, I didn't say it so much that, oh, you know what, Golden Girls, calm down. Like, calling them Golden Girls, he wasn't trying to be complimentary. I mean, it's never really complimentary when you're telling a woman that she's, you know, she's a golden girl. Like, you're making reference to her age, so you're trying to play it down. And we know in this day and age, people don't have respect for age, and, you know, double play on words. But it's not complimentary. Somebody calls you a golden girl, and you're not a golden girl. So it seemed almost like he had a retort, but a response, but it wasn't to defend himself, but to try and quiet them down. And it falls in line with my prior observation of him. I've said in the past, like, when he had a misunderstanding with Sabrina initially, when he said that Sabrina said this, that you're going next, and when she said no, I didn't say that. What I said was when he asked me, he could possibly go, and I said when he had asked me who's going next, she said it possibly could be you, could be anyone, and then he had kind of turned it around and said it in such a way that just made it sound horrible.
As far as, no accountability was taken on certain things.
What is it that we want her to take accountability?
She doesn't take accountability for anything. That's on her.
Let's not skirt around it.
Okay.
What is it that she is not owning up to?
Just the teetering with, between Demetrius and I was getting to a point to where it's like, you can make a choice at this point in time, right? I'd rather go with someone who I felt was solid, who I feel would have my back, open, vulnerable. That's where I'm at, and I'm happy.
So you moved on from Sabrina?
I moved on.
And then the second thing, of course, when he called her unreliable, and then of course nephew Tommy had pushed, and his explanation for calling her unreliable was the fact that she wouldn't choose between him and Demetrius, or choose him over Demetrius. I mean, they bring, of course, Tori was one of the gentlemen. Tori comes into it. He explains that after the Demetrius ear nibble, they had a discussion, but he really never recovered from it because he's one who he feels you're not invested in him, he can't be invested in. Long and short is like, that once that ear nibble happened, it was dead for him. Like, not dead, but he was disheartened and couldn't recover from it. So he never recovered from that. He felt bad about it, but it is what it is. He said they did have a conversation about it, but he couldn't really invest himself the way he was invested before that event occurred. Okay, I'll give you that, Tori. But I think what they delved into another topic, of course, leading to Demetrius, what happened to you and Sabrina, what made you guys so rocky, and then of course he turned to Sabrina like, why wouldn't you meet Demetrius' parents? And then that's when she goes to explain that, okay, Demetrius had heard something from somebody else, and so immediately when they left the getaway house, he had spoken with someone. Once he got that information, it kind of affected their relationship somewhat. And then not only the fact were they rocky, that she didn't, they were rocky for starters. So she was concerned they were rocky, so she didn't want to meet the parent, his parents or his mother. And then on top of that, the information that he had heard about her, he didn't discuss it with her. He went to go tell his mother about it. So at that point, she felt, what's the point of meeting your mother when, one, we're not in a good place, and two, you're already going to go and tell her these derogatory things about me. It turns out the derogatory things were that she had shared some, I don't want to use the term, they just shared a couple kisses with Donovan at the time, a couple weeks prior, and Donovan had gone back to Demetrius to share that information with Demetrius. And he excelled. I just want to call him a snitch at this point. He went to snitch to Demetrius that, I kissed your girl, da. And Demetrius' thing was not so much that they kissed, was that it was Donovan that went to tell him and not Sabrina. I'll give one point there, like because last season was season before. Anyway, Liz's season, when Liz was with Jason, she had immediately told, I can't remember his name anymore, that spazzed out and then claimed to be self-eliminated before he got eliminated. I can't remember. David, that's it. The way Liz had played with David, she was very straightforward and forthcoming and said, what, I have done. And David just, things were never the same again after that, I think about this. I think that it got to a point where, and particularly in the getaway house, there was a scene in the getaway house when they were having dinner where it looked like, I believe, Sabrina was feeding Demetrius, and Donovan saw that and he got in his feelings. I think this is just my opinion, I'm just telling you, these are the opinions of me and Nub or Network or any of the contestants, but it just looked like that, and the camera did pan on that too. And I think from that point on, because early on that day she and Donovan had sat down and didn't seem to have any problems. But after that night, we never saw them together sitting or talking again until they had that discussion and he said something mean about her and she looked confused, like, where did that come from? So it looked like when Donovan saw her sharing pizza with that guy, with Demetrius, he felt some kind of way about it. because he felt, and I think most of us felt that, you know, Donovan was at the top of the leaderboard for her, both just in the way she was with him and the way he was with her, and I felt like she liked him more and she was going to end up with Donovan. But for reasons best known to Sabrina, she changed her mind based on whatever her vetting process is. And she says she just felt like some of the conversations they had just made her feel like he was more in it for, you know, the process as opposed to being with her. So he was more in it for, like, you know, to some shine, getting to the end, like, you know, and she did just want to be, you know, part of that. So she began to withdraw and kind of face Demetrius more, and that showed that evening. And so I believe once he saw that, he felt some kind of way about it. And between that time and I don't know whenever, he went to Demetrius to tell Demetrius, oh, hey, I kissed Sabrina. And he told Demetrius because he respects him. You don't care about Demetrius like that. That's why I keep saying, you keep talking about Demetrius. You don't care about Demetrius like that. It's like you were playing a game, and you know you know the kind of person Demetrius is. He's a very structured and done guy. So you know the minute he's going to hear something like that, he's going to take it somewhere, and things are not going, and things, it played out exactly the way you wanted it. Things they never quite recovered from that. He probably went to his mother to share it with his mother. I don't know, you know, if his mom was, I'm not sure if any mom would instantly say, oh, give her a second chance. You know, moms don't play with their boys. So I don't think, you know, the mom had, you know, I can only guess, I can only assume that the mom was probably not excited by that information. It makes more sense now, because initially I didn't know why she didn't want to meet his mother, but it makes more sense now, because it's like, we know how moms are with their boys. I have a boy, you know, we know how they are. And so she probably didn't want to, she was probably scared of being made a fool of on camera, or being scolded by his mom, or being embarrassed by his mom. I mean, there were two mistakes here. I think the very first mistake was her not leveling with Demetrius, and she did say that was a regret she had. Her not leveling with Demetrius, that, yo, I kissed blah blah blah. It's easier said than done. It's easier for me to say she should have said that, but no, you know, whatever the situation is, she did. The Sabrina and Donovan situation reminds me of you know, the Sabrina, Donovan, and Demetrius scenario reminds me of the Kyra, Jason, and AJ situation. Like, Donovan mad like Kyra were mad, you know, that's what it looked like to me. So, you know, Kyra's mad that Jason didn't wait for her to choose. Donovan is mad that it looked like Sabrina wasn't going to choose him, but was going for Demetrius. That's what it looks like, with all his, you know, whatever swag that Donovan had, because I really did think that she preferred Donovan. But with all that and whatever they had going on, she was just like, my G, nah, I don't think this is going to be it. I don't think you're ready. You look like you're just here for the process. But I feel her instincts were not wrong. And what I say that, the fact that he took it upon himself to go and tell Demetrius. I mean, all's fair in love and war, and I guess maybe now there, but if, like, all of a sudden, because of a misunderstanding or the fact that someone didn't choose you, you no longer become a gentleman, it's now war. Because and if you really cared for Demetrius like that, you could have told her, yo, if you don't tell him, I'm going to tell him. You could have given her room to tell him. If you cared so much for Demetrius' feelings, you could have let her tell him and said, if you don't tell him, I'm going to tell him. But I think it's to her advantage that things didn't work with Donovan. For two reasons. One, the way Donovan has behaved anytime he feels slighted. The minute he saw her sharing pizza with blah, 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 all of a sudden, she's the enemy of state. You know, he can't take it. He starts, you know, and it was such a quick turnaround. All of a sudden, you know, and the people that she may have offended more, or she may have hurt more, didn't play the game like that. Tori never came for her like that. I mean, he was a little petty, but he didn't really do anything ridiculous. Demetrius kept his cool. Demetrius has not, at least in public, on camera as of now, he has not sullied, you know, Sabrina's name. He has not said anything derogatory about her. He hasn't been very vocal, which is probably his personality too. But if one would understand that for her just self-eliminating and eliminating him, he'd be a little angry and say something, but he didn't. He kept it cool, and I think, I don't know, I'm not sure how other people feel, but I think sometimes what we might respect about masculine energy is someone who just, you know, just keeps it cool, plays a cold game of chess. The way Donovan played was a little messy. One might even say like emotional, just like, you know, just in his feelings. I don't know how else to put it. Just the way he was responded, the way he would retort, the way he spoke of her. Because it was one minute he was like this, second it's like, I didn't know what I occurred, but already something didn't seem right. Like, no solid person. I don't know how else to, but I feel like, particularly talking about someone who's masculine, just like this, like he definitely seemed to be caught in his emotions, even in front of us when he had the retort to Precious and Dakia. He could have very respectfully said, ladies, you're wrong on this, you're wrong on this. He had to say something fresh, like, hold up, golden girls. Yeah, something quick and fast. And that's maybe his personality, but there you go. That kind of tells us that when he gets in his emotions, he's quick to snap and quick to jump and quick to have a response. And his response was that. So that, you know, I think Sabrina should be reaffirmed that, yo, oof. And then 2, I think, and you know, Carmen might be a lovely lady, but she just seemed to be involved in some mess. But that's the person he chose. She seemed to be involved in mess with different people, not one person. You're the common denominator in a couple situations. You have to look at yourself that, okay, is it me? Like, Carmen, is it you? Like, you involved in different things. Is it you? This trio gives me the tease of the AJ, you know, Jason and Kyra tease. Can I just say this whole season, other than, you know, Clifton and Joy, was really a wash for me. And yeah, it's just, it almost, the whole purpose of the show was to show, you know, older singles, not, you know, people in college or in their 20s dating. But if this is what we're going to be seeing on a constant basis, I don't think we'd be interested in this. Like, people who should know better, not acting like they know better. So they bring on the, you know, Laverne packet, Laverne's segment, Laverne's corner. You know, Laverne didn't come off to me as he came off to me as a little different, but he didn't come off to me as bad. I'm not sure what other people felt. I know they complain about sometimes he'd be really quiet and he wouldn't reach out to people. He just had the people was into. He don't trust easy. There's certain people, you know, he had even expressed that to Precious when Precious called him narcissistic on one date. He had said, I don't trust you guys, so I'm not really going to open up like that. He felt a certain way about it. So I mean, I get that. And then he said that, is he overconfident? Is he confident or is he cocky? I mean, there's nothing wrong with being confident. He said as far as he was concerned, it was confident because God don't make no junk. That was a good retort and a real good comeback. Like, you know, Fernanda had to pop his jacket like, bro, I'm not mad at you because I get you. I mean, that was a good response. And that's the same thing, because I remember when the interview he had with Crystal, he seemed like a normal guy. I mean, just you know, different. He's not like running the mill. Like if you put him next to Demetrius, he's different. But he didn't come off to me as ridiculous. Very, you know, passionate about what he feels. But yeah, I don't really have a problem with Laverne all the way, because you could definitely see when he met up with Sabrina that day of the elimination day, or bubble date as they call it, he had already been fed some information, so he came in hot. Like, if I could play music in the background, I'd be like coming in hot, like all that. Like, he came in hot. He came on 10 because he was ready. Because apparently, from what we've now gathered, the information he got wasn't from Precious directly. What had happened was Precious had warned Ace, and this is Precious who's already been off the show. But Precious was privy to some information that she says that Carmen, Sabrina, and Tina were trying to break up couples, break up something, but whatever they're trying to do, they're trying to get rid of Laverne. Turns out they couldn't reach Tina, or maybe Tina didn't give her final say because Tina wasn't around most of the time. And then Sabrina wasn't really playing along because she didn't have anything to lose, because she already, like I said, I think prior episodes before, I said, you know, Sabrina was too caught up in her situation to be worried about like Laverne. Like, why's she worried about Laverne? She's got 3 guys she's trying to figure out who's who. And so it seemed like, so the main culprit here was Carmen. Carmen didn't argue too much about it because she was part of it. Like, she didn't argue unless she say something next week. She didn't really argue to say, well, it wasn't me. So what he heard via Ace from Precious was that Carmen was trying to get rid of Laverne, which is kind of odd because she had a great date with Laverne in the beginning. That was her very first date. So with that date, he did come in hot. The elimination date, he came in hot, but he did confess that once he understood everything, he apologized to Sabrina. But I'm not understanding what the beef was between him and Precious. Precious said what she said, like, you know, Precious, what was Precious in her feelings? That's the thing, because she and Laverne didn't really have much of a, so why was she seemed really, anyway, two of them were just going back and forth. I don't understand what that was about. But anyway, so they discussed Laverne going home, and of course shortly after that, Ace self-eliminated because her main interest really was Laverne. She did confess that she and Laverne had you know, met up a little bit to date, but it didn't go very far. And they both sides admit that them not going very far was because of Laverne. Laverne wasn't ready. So, Laverne, you were mad that they say you're not ready to love, but you weren't ready to love. Essentially, it looked like that, like you weren't ready to love. So at the time of filming of the reunion, Ace and Laverne had called it quits. And of course, Nephew Tommy see this ship sinking. He's like, you guys, is there a possibility you get back together? I love, like, Ace is interesting. I love her. She hit some notes, and she hit those notes right. Like, sis can sing. Like, Ace, we need to talk. Maybe I, you know, do a little vocal lessons with you. Get my notes, sharpen up my notes. Because you hit those notes like real casual. Like, I was like, okay, sis. But yeah, she just let us know that's not anytime soon, bruv. It's not gonna happen. Meanwhile, her package was on its way. So good looking out, Ace. But yeah, just like, I have no problem with Laverne. Laverne just a different type of guy. You know, Ace had her package coming, so it was done with that. So they show the clips from next week. I just want to say that this first episode of the reunion was very high school. Back in the day, when I was a kid growing up in London, there was this high school show called Grange Hill. Y'all Google it. That's what it seemed like. Like, Grange Hill was these really badass kids that used to do badass stuff in uniform. The reason why you knew they were in high school was they were used to wear uniform, and that was it. That's the extent of it. Like, I was not impressed with it. People have singled out Sabrina as a bad guy, but like, a lot of them aren't any better. You know, I could single out a few people. Ace, yeah, I can single her out. Some of the people they disqualified earlier on, we didn't really get to know them. Fernando, Tiffany, you know, well, what's his name? The Demetrius guy, not Demetrius, whatever his name. What do you call him? Cornbread. Cornelius. Now the Cornelius guy, like, okay, he polygamous. I don't know why he's going on a show that wants you to, you know, well, we're talking about monogamy. We're not talking about you meeting up with, you know, pairing up with 2 or 3 people at the same time. So yeah, from Cornbread downwards, it's like, okay, AP, like, you know, she seemed like a straight arrow, which is why she probably got, you know, voted off. They said she wasn't ready. She was ready, but she wasn't ready for their mess. But if you start looking down, okay, Joy Clifton, okay. All right, fair enough, but I don't have a problem. You know, Sabrina has her issues, but I don't have a problem with her sieving through the people the way she did. Demetrius, it was, you know, on one hand, do we say he was emotionally unavailable? That was some concern, might have been a concern for Sabrina. Yeah, that was there. Laverne, we know he's different, like, he's special, we know that. Tori, his childish talk didn't really help him. It didn't really help him. Precious, you know, she probably needs to simmer down a little bit, but she probably felt really insulted by the way they tried to portray her on the show, because yeah, just because she's a spirited young woman doesn't make her a party girl. So she mad about that, so she came in mad. Tina probably did what most of us normal folks would have done, like, yo, you got a kid, you got stuff going on, you got your career, and then you sign up for one thing only to find out it's something else, and you're like, nah, I'm not doing this. And she just ran out of gas halfway through. She was done. So I can understand. I can't fault her. I can only fault her for standing up Nephew Tommy if she really did. And so if you just kind of go down the list, it was like Dakia's like, I'm here anyway, so I might as well last. Paul, like, he say, I'm here anyway, might as well last. Eric, I don't know what he about, but he clearly, like, he for the streets a little bit, cause yeah. I don't know. Or maybe Dakia is not telling us everything. Maybe they'd done whatever they did in private. He thought he could pull it out and do it in public. That's a possibility. I don't know. But just kind of going through the list, it's just like, I'm not impressed. So, yo, guys, this is. I think we reached the end of the episode. Next week, it looked like I see Clifton on one knee. Like, I don't know if he's trying to give her a pearl necklace or some earrings, or if that was a ring. And I think I'm not even excited about Clifton and Joy the way I was excited about Aisha and what he named Dante. Okay, let me give it to you like this. So I don't eat meat all the time, but every now and again I might go have some steak. And not everybody can make steak. Like, you go to some steak houses and it's just a slab of beef. There's a very delicate way you season the steak. And a good colleague of mine who works for me, it worked with me in Brooklyn. When she makes you a steak, like, you slap your mama twice. Like, and I can't explain how, she can't even explain to me how she seasons it. Like, it's like that. So you go to a steakhouse expecting to get this really great steak, and you just get dry piece, not even dry, just piece of meat. Like, you literally can taste the meat and the oil. Like, it's the flavors don't blend. That's what this is for me right now. Like, you expecting something and you get something else. It's the same ingredients, but they didn't put them together right. Same thing. Like, there's nobody right now that just, remember the first season, Shay and Michael? We loved that coupling. Like, woo, I was a little hurt when they broke up. I don't call us pessimistic, we're realistic, but we still want to believe in love. So when we want to see a happy ending, and that reinforces our belief in love. So when we see this mess that's going on here, it's just like, yeah, guys, this is I'm done. So let's see if part 2 gives us a little more, because this didn't give me much. This did give me some context and explain some things. For those of you that wanted to pin Sabrina to the stake, I hope this gave you all some context, so y'all can see that Donovan is not the clean cut like schoolboy y'all thought he was. Like, he got something going on, because he quick to get mad. But either way, nobody's hands are clean, and that's what's clear. That's what's clear. People came on TV, to get some TV time. That's all. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Lola, over and out.